This week in Counter-Strike, Vitality have won 3 events in a row, Jacob is scamming his fans, JL refuses to shake a Turkish gentleman's hand, and Zonic is on Fraud Watch? And we'll be talking about this week of Counter-Strike with our co-host Vu CSGO. Welcome, welcome.
CS2's been out for a while.
Anyway, so let's talk about this. Vitality have now won 3 events in a row, and they're actually on a 16 series winning streak. I don't even really know what to say. I don't think we've seen a run this dominant for, I don't even know how many years it's been now since the team has just
Too early
taken
to
over.
call it an era?
3 events in a row without dropping a series?
It's
I'm
too
not so
early
sure.
to call it an era.
It could be
It's
a
too early
Vitality
to call
era.
it.
Maybe if they win the major.
Well, I
We
mean,
could call it an era.
Liquid is proof that you need to win a major. Liquid is like 2019 Liquid is proof you
True.
need to win a major to have an era or to have an agreed upon era. Vitality look like the best team since Navi 2021. I would say that.
That's true. It also, in the final today, there was the first ever 13-0 in a international tier 1 final.
Bro, this is like
which,
this is
was
like
pretty
those
crazy.
football ones that are like, this is the first time someone born in Michigan has ever thrown more than 470 on a Sunday while it's raining with the sun
Yeah,
and
but
with like
it's still
Mercury
kind of
in
insane.
retrograde.
Even considering all of the finals that we've had over the last like 15 years, like that's the first one that's ever happened. Kind of insane. And then Mouse didn't even just roll over and die after that. We went all
That
5
was
maps.
the closest 13-0
Pretty good.
in CS history.
Yeah. So Vitality era is upon us.
Maybe.
Do you think they're going to win a Grand
The
Slam?
ESL Grand Slam? Not the Intel Grand It's not the Intel Grand Slam anymore?
Oh, the ESL Grand Slam. Yeah. But is that even news? Like, it doesn't even matter that they
you know who I
rebranded?
think's going to win a Grand Slam?
Nah, I don't.
Liquid if
Who?
they pick up Shuhei.
Oh, yes, of course. And that is a pretty good move, I think. And I think they said they were going to replace JKS for Shui, which would mean
Did
that
they
Twist
say
doesn't
that?
have to IGL anymore.
Do you just say it Australians?
I think it's implied.
What do you mean it's implied?
I think it's implied that the roles don't really make sense on Liquid as is. So bringing in somebody to take over IGL and let Twist go back to what he used to do on FaZe, I think it kind of makes sense. I feel like that's the most likely move. I'm not saying I know anything. I'm just saying that, if it was gonna happen, like that's probably the player I'd expect to be replaced.
Ultimate, move him to rifle.
What?
I feel like he's a better rifler than he is as an opper, and then pick up an opper. But then I don't know how Shuhei joins Liquid. I don't
Who's
know
gonna opt?
who Shuhei replaces.
Yeah, no, see, you just make a mess out of it then.
God, this
But yeah,
was unrelated. I just thought you cut JKS and pick up an opper, and then you've got a better team. That's what I was thinking before.
I mean, I don't know, man. Shui as an IGL, I feel like he's just a clear improvement to Liquid. I feel like you can't go wrong with this. It was either that or G2. I'm really just surprised that G2 wasn't picking him up when he was on the market for the last month.
It's the other problems in the team. He's not, dude. He gets so much over.
What is this? Next level cope?
As an IGL, find me. Okay, there are some IGLs that are better, but there's only a small, not even a handful, probably like 3 IGLs out there that really elevate the team. And if you're not one of them and you're not actively dog shit as an IGL, which Snax isn't, then the IGLing isn't the problem. His fragging has been the problem. People that criticize his IGLing, I feel like half the time aren't even qualified to understand whether what he calls is a bad call or not. Okay. Anyways, the thing is that Snax has been scamming G2 for his salary, similar to how Jakem has been scamming his fans, right, Austin?
Exactly. And honestly, I'm not even surprised to hear that. With the amount of people that are lending out skins to pros and streamers, I mean, it's only a matter of time before you see some suspicious activity happening.
Matter of time.
And
it happened
Jacob
in 2015,
comes out
the
and
first
says,
time, I think, when Simple scammed a knife.
Whoa, but that's our GOAT. We forgot about that already. But anyway, when Jacob does it, when he's going on about a gambling addiction, playing on a team sponsored by a gambling site, makes you wonder if we have a problem in the CS community.
Oh, it's a good thing that neither of
do.
us have one of those sponsors.
Not on this video, which is actually a good time to bring up today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey. Now, if you're not familiar with SkinsMonkey, this is a trade site that allows you to take some of the old and crusty skins out of your inventory, and you can actually trade them in for something a little bit new, a little bit shinier than what you have right now. And it's really easy to do this, actually. All you need to do is log in through Steam, pick the skins that you don't want to use anymore, grab the ones that you do, and then click trade. All trades will pretty much happen immediately, and any balance that you don't use in your trade actually stays on the site for you to use for any future trades that you decide to do. And right now, if you use the link in the description, you can actually get a 35% deposit bonus, and that's good for up to $100. So let's say you deposit $100, you would actually get $135 on the site if you use my link. So make sure you check out SkinsMonkey, and let's hop right back into the video.
Definitely not Jakem or whatever team is sponsoring him, because I heard someone say it was potentially like over 200,000 that he's potentially scammed.
Yeah, I saw that as well. That's just egregious. Like over what, a 10-year career, he's scammed about $200,000. How much money is he making off sticker money? Why is he borrowing money? What is going on, man? The CS players, man, we have a problem as a community. I mean, you see it everywhere, but
I don't
yeah.
know. I kind of feel bad
Yeah.
joking about this because it actually is. I mean, it's probably a serious problem. He's probably actually got an actual gambling issue or some sort of issue. So, I mean, it just sucks for everyone involved.
Let this be a public service announcement. If you are somebody that has skins, don't lend to anybody that
you
you
can
don't
lend to me.
trust or know or have a way of getting it back. But if you want to give me skins for my stream, I'm always down to use them.
Yeah. Anyway, it's
with-
sad. Just like JL refusing to shake Xantarez's hand. Don't you think that's kind of sad?
I mean, dude, he said he shot his body, bro. Like, if he shot his body, I'm not shaking your hand. Are you kidding me? That's like the ultimate BM, dude. Shooting bodies in game, might as well just jump up and start screaming the
You
most
saw my tweet,
obscene
didn't you? You saw my
insults
tweet,
ever.
didn't
It's
you?
the same.
You-
It's just
saw
insane,
my
dude.
tweet.
No, of course I did. I mean, dude, shooting bodies, dude. Why do we care if we're shooting a body when he's dead on the ground? He shot your body when you're alive. He didn't say anything about that. But
I
anyway,
can't even comprehend it, dude. I
like-
can't even comprehend getting annoyed by it. I get 100 times like I can't. It doesn't even cross my mind to get annoyed when someone shoots my body. I get a little bit bothered the smallest amount when someone like doesn't defuse. I'm like, dude, can we just get the game over with? Like, you think you're tilting me, you're just wasting our time. It's not even annoying me. It's just you're just
That's true.
wasting our time. Like, let's continue playing the game. Thank you. Just like when people when
Yeah.
my team in a premier game, when they're like, pause, I got to AFK for a minute. I'm like, I would rather just lose the round. Like, let's just and play the game. like, it's the same
Right.
situation.
I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to not shake his hand, but I get where he's coming from. I think, like,
Oh, you
I
have
guess if he
experience with
feels
this?
like he was
You have experience with
disrespected.
this?
I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. I have refused to shake people's hands at LAN in the past, but it was more so for who they were, not necessarily what they did in the game. I mean, they beat me, of
think
course,
JL
so I was
just
a little
doesn't like
salty, but it
British
doesn't
people.
really matter. No, it's absolutely not that. I think if JL really was upset about it, maybe he should have filed a complaint. Seems like a lot of people are doing that behind the scenes right now, huh?
Yeah. As I heard,
You're just laughing at how good that was,
as
man.
I heard
Stop.
Falcons filed a complaint
All right.
against Blast because of the comm thing, right?
Yeah, so Falcons filed a complaint against Blast for leaking
It was
the comms
because
of a
they
Zonic
made
timeout.
Zonic look bad. So if you look at the text of the tweet, it says the clip forcibly lacks context by not showing the entire timeout in brackets, which they can't do because there was tactical elements discussed towards the end of it. For the sake of creating a bait tweet and noise, giving a false impression of the coach and players. What do you think of this, Austin?
Well, he didn't say anything. Like the fact that Nico's already irritated that there's about, 15 seconds here with nothing said. Like, what extra context do we need? He can't talk before. He can't talk. I mean, if like he must not have talked before if Nico's going, call something. So what extra context is there?
I think he did call afterwards because someone said that the quote that they used in the clip was wrong. I think it might have been that Nico said, "Do you want me to call something?" or like, "Should I call something?" to make sure that something got called. I think I'm gonna say it. First of all, this is the biggest nothing burger of all time. This is like a mistake. Mistakes happen. The idea that we can watch a pro player do something like fucking go heaven with a deagle and miss his opponent in the back, and then we look at a coach who we're like, well, you actually, by the way, you have to be fucking completely perfect because you're a coach and your brain's not allowed to like fail to come up with the solution. I think that's insane. But I wanted to bring this in a completely different direction, Austin, because I hate the idea that any tactical elements can't be shown on a clip. Now, I understand if the tactical element of the clip says, we know X, we know Maus do this, we know VP do this. I understand you don't want that shown because that's an anti-strat. You don't want that leaked, okay? That makes logical sense to me.
Right.
But the idea that Zonic doesn't go, okay, so we're gonna do Maus banana take, and then we're gonna wait, and then we're gonna do a late B hit. The f does that actually give up? Like, what strat could a fucking coach call that seriously gives away so much that it's like you would rather your coach basically get absolutely roasted because no coaches can show any strategic things. No coach clip can ever show anything strategic. So all it's ever going to do is amplify whatever the community already thinks about that coach. That's always going to be what happens because none of those things can show anything strategic. Are those strategic things, are they almost ever really going to mean anything? Come on, Austin, tell me.
No, of course not. Of course not. I mean, it's weird that they can't. Okay, I've kind of lost the plot here. I'm not gonna lie. So you're arguing that they should be able to show like actual
There has
context
to
of
be
the
some
timeout,
oversight.
or
There should be some oversight because again, if you say anything about anti-stratting, that's different. That's something that you don't want out.
right. So you would be okay with them saying, "Oh, let's run
Yes.
this into this and
Because
whatever."
you get that all
Yeah,
from
I
watching
agree.
the
I mean, because
game.
you don't actually know what that means. Exactly, I agree with that.
Like-
Yeah. Also, just to defend Zonic a little bit more, there's a lot more that goes into a timeout than just calling a strat. Like you call timeouts to like ease the players' nerves, kind of get them back, untilt them. I mean, the context of this game is they're up 11-5 versus Virtus Pro and they're choking, right? So it's like they don't want to choke. They're probably getting in their heads. He knows it's the right time to call a timeout. And maybe he doesn't have
Yeah.
anything. Maybe he just knows like, okay, he's a good coach. This is a good time for a timeout. He doesn't have a solution. He says in the end of the clip, let me think. It's a timeout for everybody. The coach could also be getting tilted. You never know. Maybe they went over some strats last night and he's watching somebody just completely grief it. You never know what's going on.
I mean, that's one that fans will never really get is that you might call a timeout just to stop your team from tilting, but you might be like, I don't know if I should say that. Like maybe I should say something else. And like the point was to just give them a bit of time. Like this actually could be a 300 IQ thing. But the problem I had with this whole thing was really that they're like, yeah, by the way, we don't allow tournament organizers to show any tactical anything when they're doing coach clips or when they're doing comms clips. So basically, what else is other than bait and like
the only clips that you're going to get are
Yeah.
clips like that or clips of talking about something irrelevant, which again is just going to amplify what the community thinks about a coach if
Yeah,
they're
that's
good or
what I
bad,
think,
right?
yeah.
The clips are just interaction bait,
that's
basically.
because they can't show. And look, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think that the tactics that anyone shows in those, other than anti-strat details, like, does it help you to know? Well, they're running the French B take. This is what they call the French B take. Well, it doesn't matter what they call it. We can see the way they runs.
And when you're doing anti-strats and preparing for a team, you're still going to know what to look for. It doesn't matter if you know what it's called. Like you're not getting an entire in-depth breakdown of the thought process, and you're not getting everything from a little clip of a timeout. So I agree with you. I think that it's a little weird, overprotective maybe is the word for the teams, but I think filing the complaint is that's crazy. But I can understand why teams are getting a little worried about what teams could get from timeouts or like hearing their comms, because there's currently a little bit of an exploit going on with POV demos where if you record practice, you can actually see what the other team is doing and steal their strats before they've ever even used them in officials.
Yeah, so I forcibly made Austin put this one in because I think it needs more publicity. Basically, the idea is that in scrims, you would never have GoTV demos because with a GoTV demo, you can see what both teams are doing. If you record a POV demo, which nobody can stop you from doing, you go into the game, you hit recording console, it records a demo from your POV. In CSGO, this would just give a locked POV. It would just show what you were doing. So TOs would use it to like check if you were cheating because it would be a full tick, like instead of like the 16 tick like delay GoTV demo, you watch it in real time so you can really see what actually happened. But now you can actually kind of like crack those demos and apps will let you do it. That demo has all of the information that a GoTV demo does. So there's no way to stop teams that you play against from getting all the information of everything you do. And it's bad.
And so let me explain for the people who don't really understand. What would happen is if you go into a scrim, let's say you just made a new strat with your team and you want to practice it against a team. Well, when the other team sees the strat, they don't know everything that's happening. They don't know the utility you're throwing. They don't know where you are on the map. All they know is what they see. But what can happen is they can then take their POV demo, crack it, and then they can see how you ran the strat, and they can kind of just steal it and use it for themselves. And that's kind of the problem, which is why somebody like Blade is tweeting that it's an issue in the highest level when you can have any team basically steal your strats before you even get the chance to use them in an official match. And, it used to be saving strats for a major was like a big joke, but now you're just you don't even have strats because you can't even practice
Yeah,
them.
he was saying literally like you can't even run a strat against like a tier 3 team that you're not going to play because that team can steal it and then they run it and then everyone steals it from them, and by the time you actually get to an important match, the whole scene has already seen this strat and they just didn't realize that it was your strat to begin with. It actually in theory limits creativity because what's the point of making a strat if it's just going to get stolen immediately?
Right, which is leading more teams to just kind of play more aggressively on both sides, which is why we have a T-sided meta now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Potentially.
I
No?
think it's led to the acceleration. Like I feel like there's a massive acceleration in the level of tactics and like mid round, like I would call them tactics where it's like how we take lane on Inferno or like how we take top banana control.
Right.
Those things have accelerated massively in like how ironed out they are because I think those are the types of things that are easiest to steal. Yeah.
Right, and they're also like smaller parts of the
Yeah.
round, right? So like protocols that you have in your team for like this is how we're going to take Arch on Inferno, and we'll make sure we have different looks on how to do it, so you can always put it in a default, and you're not really using like a set strat that could get
It
stolen.
also makes it easier to anti-strat yourself and like improve in on your own team, which is like generally a positive, but it's kind of like underlooked, I think, because if you have all the Go TV demos, it's just so easy to put all your demos into a thing and like look at them and see what that means. But I mean, it's an obvious exploit. And we're talking about exploits. Obviously, VRS is the next exploit we should probably discuss.
Yeah, there's a couple of weird things happening in terms of the qualification process for the major. Now, the one that I know the most about is Wildcard adding Stewie 2K to their roster to play the PGL Astana qualifier, and he's been playing all this week. You could probably go check some of the results. Some are good, some are bad, but they're using him so that their core can be from NA so that they can get invited to the American MRQ is what it's called now. The American MRQ, so they don't have to play through the harder one, which would be in Europe, which I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like it's a little weird to use somebody for an event that you might not ever actually use him again. Like this could be the one time that we see him play with the team and then he's just on the roster for who knows how long. I think that this is just a very clear exploit. I'm not a big fan of this system.
So with this Stewie thing, you think that Valve just needs to update the TOS?
Honestly, I have no idea what the solution to this is. I feel like VRS as a concept is really good. I think everything makes sense on paper, but then there's these exploits that pop up that you wouldn't even have thought about that I don't know the best way to handle it.
Like, how would you define this? Would you say Wildcard is kind of like exploiting Stewie 2K?
Yeah.
So this
I
wouldn't
think
be
so.
the first time that Amaranth has exploited a young man for her profit, and the TOS needs to be changed to fix it.
So yeah, let's talk about Rare Atom and Lin Vision, shall we?
Yeah.
So this is the other situation in the Asian MRQ. We have some, I would call it conflict of interest.
She's familiar with conflicts of interest.
Okay, man. You're right. There's the Asian MRQ drama, or whatever you want to call it. Some were calling it match fixing. I would just call it a conflict of interest.
I don't know if I'd call it match fixing, but I think the Asian MRQ thing is actually really interesting. I'm really not sure how there's a fix to this. So we'll explain this as best as possible, as quickly as possible. This is take 2, by the way. We might be 5 takes in before we get this one right. Basic idea.
Right.
Mongols are going to get the direct Asia invite to the major. They're going to go directly into the major no matter what. It doesn't really matter. So they're the number 1 team in Asia. Then there's a second Asian major slot that's going to have a playoff, a 4-team playoff to actually get into that major slot. Now, the problem is the way you actually get into that playoff, the MRQ, to actually get that slot. Because there are 3 regions in Asia. There's Mongolia, there's China, and there's something else. And the way it actually works is that one of those regions, whichever has the best team other than the Mongols, will get 2 slots into the 4-team playoff. So, for example, if China has the number 2 team, basically the number 1 contender behind the Mongols, if they have the number 1 contender, then China gets an extra slot. If Mongolia has that number 1 contender behind Mongols, then Mongolia gets an extra slot. So the problem is Lin Vision and Rare Atom, both Chinese teams, were set to play each other.
In the PGL Astana qualifier, by the way, which also has VRS points and weight.
The VRS points.
With
VRS
VRS
that's
points.
the key. That's the key.
Yes.
Because Lin Vision is too far behind Rare Atom to ever knock them out of the number 1 slot in China. However, they could beat them and knock them low enough in VRS that a Mongolian team passes Rare Atom. and China no longer has the number 2 team in Asia. The idea being LinVision is number 2 in China, and in order for them to get into the MRQ, they need Rare Atom to be the second best team in Asia. But if they were to beat Rare Atom, then Rare Atom is no longer the second best team in Asia, and China only gets 1 slot, which will go to Rare Atom. So it's actually really a weird incentive for LinVision. There's no reason for them to beat Rare Atom except for this one event, which is way less important than the major.
And with Sticker money on the line, it is leaving LinVision in like a weird spot where they should lose so they can maybe go to the major. And it's weird. I've never seen anything like this in CS history. A team that should lose so they can go for a chance at the major. And that's actually what they decided to do. They forfeited the match. So
you can't really blame them for that.
Not really sure. VRS is fully cooked. I mean, in some of these like weird situations, I never thought I'd say it, but forfeiting a match to make the MRQ makes the most sense, and I don't blame them for doing it. But how have we got here? How does this make any sense? Couldn't imagine a world where Valve was planning for something like this to be normal when they introduced the VRS point system.
I think it's a problem that you have 3 regions and 4 slots. It's like you need a 4th region with 1 slot for each, or you need maybe an 8-team play-in or something. It's the 3 regions, 4 slots is the problem, I think.
So do you think this is unique to the Asian region and it would never happen in America or in Europe or like the other qualifiers?
I don't know how the sub-regions are divided. I don't know. It could happen anywhere.
Like maybe South America. It could happen,
there
right?
Needs
like
to be more thought that goes into it. That's the problem with this Valve stuff. There's not any actual like human thought that goes into this stuff, and that kind of creates this problem because you could see this coming. 3 regions, 4 slots. The region with the best team gets a 2nd slot. That makes sense on paper, but as soon as you go into, well, what's a way this could go wrong? This is the first one. This is the first way you would think this could go wrong.
Definitely a huge oversight. Then again, they probably didn't expect these teams to be this close.
But they already have the ECL problem. Well, can we talk about that? The reason this is even relevant is because ECL is a division that is in non-major regions. It is like the way to get VRS in theory. It's the way teams compete. It's the way non-top tier teams, non-tier 1 teams compete. That's like most of tier 3 games are going to be ECL, most of their VRS games. But because it's a long league, because they overreacted to the Gamer Legion situation, and now your VRS points only count after the event is over. But ECL literally goes from like in January until like 4 months later after the VRS cutoff. So all of these games you played are irrelevant. This like creates this extra problem that's like someone was saying like LinVision wouldn't even be in this situation. Like Rare Atom would be way ahead or something if ECL was just counted. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
Right. So Valve are just kind of reacting to stuff as it comes up, and it's creating more problems the further we go. I honestly didn't even know about the reaction to the Gamer Legion thing. Oh, the VRS only counts after events are over now?
Yeah, because the Gamer Legion thing was that Gamer Legion won a game, and because they won that game, they were still in the tournament. And because they were still in the tournament, they didn't get the prize money distributed that they would have, that the team they beat got. So that they like a team got ahead of them because Valve was saying, oh yeah, if you win until you get eliminated from the tournament, your prize money doesn't count. Instead of the most obvious, which is the minimum prize money you can win at this event is your prize money during the event. So like if you're top 4 at a major, your prize money shouldn't be 0. It should be whatever the minimum you get for top 4 is, because otherwise you're incentivized to lose a game to get your prize money added to your VRS rank, right?
Right. So I mean, I guess it makes sense for them to just wait till the event's over, but I like your method.
I don't know why they didn't do it.
Your method makes way more sense.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's too complicated. Call Valve Lazy one more time.
Fix it. I mean, they will fix it, but
it'll be fixed. But it just sucks in like this early stages of it, where there's going to be so many exploits and weird things happening, and people are going to get. There's going to be lost opportunities for sure, and people won't forget it. We'll be hearing about it in 3 or 4 years from now. Oh, I could have went pro if it wasn't for the VRS situation back in 2025. Careers are being made and broken off of this, and that's just this week in Counter-Strike.